Welcome to today's little factoid video. You know, I am by no means a man that will often praise Oblivion, but if there's anything that it does well, it's playing it safe. Everything is just so rigid and by the numbers, it's like a cozy blanket for people with OCD. Though sometimes it randomly decides to do things a bit different. And that's when I pull out my magnifying glass and decide to investigate, because that's interesting. Well, at least to me it is. Just wait until you hear my whole rant on what makes and breaks a level 1 NPC and how it all ties back to this rigidness in Oblivion. In this case, Oblivion actually kinda invented a system that wouldn't really see widespread usage until Skyrim. And that's having backup shopkeepers. In Skyrim, if the owner of their shop, inn, etc. were to die, there is usually someone internally marked to take their place. This sometimes comes with new dialogue and all that jazz, but most importantly is the fact that their inventory remains accessible to the player. In Morrowind and Oblivion though, if your shopkeep died, that was it. There was no longer any way to access their goods. Or was there? You see, in a very odd case of Oblivion not following a consistent pattern, we have some towns that do have a backup shopkeeper assigned, or at the very least they attempt to have this. But the system here was still in its infancy, and that's what makes me wanna look into it. So let's start with the basics. There's only one type of shop that has backup shopkeepers assigned in the entire game, and that is the general trader. Why these guys? Well, if I had to make an educated guess, it's because these shops sell the upgrades to the player houses which otherwise would also become totally unavailable to buy. And like I said, not every general store has a backup assigned, only a select few. In Anvil, Norbert Lel is the general store owner and he has no backup, he also lives alone. In Coral, Sidneas is the owner and she also has no backup. Her daughter Dharma lives with her. And in Skingrad, the store is run by Gunder, who lives with Ea, who may move into your house in order to become your maid. This actually only leaves Breville, Bruma, Cheydinal and Leowyn with backup shopkeepers set up, which only leaves me with more questions. Why these towns? Why not the others? Also of note is that the official Prima game guide refers to all these people as quote-unquote assistants to the main shopkeeper. So the main shopkeeper in Bruma is an Altmer man by the name of Surotan. His backup is an Altmer woman by the name of Karinar. What makes her so special is the lack of things making her special. As you'll see, each time the backup shopkeep is a member of the same race as the main vendor, but now gender swapped. They don't have any unique dialogue, they're usually not even uniquely mentioned in the game files, and at no point does anyone acknowledge their existence. And Karinar demonstrates these quirks to a T. My favorite thing about her is that her generic AI packages aren't even set up correctly. This means that she can't even serve her intended purpose because she isn't set up to trade with the player. Great work, guys. Now remind me, why does she need to exist again? Then next up is the general store in Cheydinhal, Borba's Goods and Stores, run by the eponymous Borbagro Uzgas. She is a female orc, assisted by her male counterpart Magra Gronebag. Magra here falls in the same pitfalls as Karinar before him. No unique dialogue, existence is never acknowledged, and he has even less AI packages, making him feel even less involved in the world. He does have his own unique sleep package though. Karinar didn't have that. However, just like her, his packages aren't set up correctly, making him unable to trade with the player. Awesome. Even more awesome is the fact that he sleeps in the basement of the store, and with the key not being linked to the basement's door, it's likely that he remains trapped there for the entire duration of the game without you even having the chance to meet him. Another fun fact about Magra is that his name really bothers me. I could never really figure out why exactly until I found out that in all of the main Elder Scrolls titles, he's one of only 2 orcs to have the letter E in their last name, and the other one is Gashel, which, I don't know, just sounds less out of place than Nabak, so that's probably why. Then there's the general trader in Leowyn, Best Goods and Guarantees, which is owned by the Bosmer man Gundalas. His backup is a Bosmer woman known as Elsinia. As far as non-fleshed out characters go, she's pretty fleshed out. For example, her ref actually uses her name. Yeah, that means literally nothing, but usually these throwaway characters like the previous two just have a blank ref name, resulting in them just appearing as numbers. Another crazy new development is that Elsinia is actually set up to trade. I know, that's just insane, right? She uses a unique merchant chest from Gundalas for this, and she even has a unique trade package in her name. Now, if only she was integrated into the world. Oh well, can't have it all, can we? The most interesting thing about Elsinia though is that the store's unique item, Nistor's boots, is only available through her rather than through the main vendor Gundula's, as is the case with literally all other vendors mentioned. And no, this store isn't one that has multiple unique items, Gundula's just doesn't have one to his name, only Elsinia does. I don't know if this was on purpose, but it can be presumed that due to this fact, the devs made sure to actually make her function as a merchant, so there's at least that takeaway. And then, last but not least, is Breville's Nordor. Nordor is probably the most fleshed out of all the backup shopkeepers, as he comes the closest to being an actual character that's integrated into the world. While he himself has no unique dialogue and no one in town mentions him, he does get mentioned by Phalion during his related Dark Brotherhood quest. Nice. He also has unique AI packages and a unique vendor chest set up to accommodate his drug dealing side hustle. Still, I think it would have been nice to show what the relation is between Nordor and Nilowen. Oh well. I'm thinking back to Elsinia and her unique item at the moment. Wouldn't it be funny if the developers just had multiple unique items go unavailable due to basic bugs, or if they just randomly forgot to give one store a unique item in the first place? But yeah, that's about all that can be said about the backup shopkeepers from Oblivion. They certainly existed. In fact, Bethesda did something similar in the Knights of the Nine DLC, where if certain priests died throughout the storyline, they would get replaced by a gender-swapped version of the same race that was just there, without any integration into the world. And while the system here was basically nothing more than a broken mess, it's nice to see how far they came when looking at it in Skyrim. Yes, it's not perfect there either, but they clearly learned from the experience, and even my grumpy old self can't hate on the positive growth like that. Was this interesting in the slightest? I don't know. I think so, but my taste is rather peculiar. Still, I hope you enjoyed, and until next time.